I'd like to start with the gaffer for some memories of Trevor as a player, if you can remember that far back, of course, that you could entertain the crowd with.
Well, yeah, it's working. My first knowledge of Trevor was obviously watching him play, and not only for Peterborough, but did I say Northampton? I can't say that in this room. Yeah, that's a sin already. But no, so my first real experience of Trevor, of course, when I signed him as a player at Stamford, and I think by his own admission he signed on one leg, and he was better than anything in two legs. He was absolutely fantastic for us. He quickly became almost like my number two, if you like. Went off to Boston, and Trevor came with us and was absolutely brilliant again. And he had to put his family first is the only reason why we really parted. But his memories as a player, Philly, was as good as anybody that's played for me.
And Trevor, what was Steve like as a man manager?
Fantastic. Is that good enough?
I mean, you can elaborate on it if you wish.
No. Joking aside, the man's desire and knowledge of the game really, really surprised me. And all the things that you want to put into a game on a first team level, he just shows in abundance on the training field. And when we had time after training, after games, never stopped talking. Never stopped talking about tactics, how to improve things, how to nullify things. And when you got that, you're never going to be too far away.
What we're here tonight, obviously, to raise some money. I don't know whether you want to take this opportunity, Trevor, just to sort of explain a little bit about your personal situation as to why we're Steve, Paul and Barry put this night together for you.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank everyone for turning out tonight. Obviously, I've got the gaffer to thank for this great event. The situation really came about with the gaffer knowing that my little girl was born with a rare chromosome disorder. All the research that my wife and I have done to see how we can try and improve things, we were just coming up against brick walls, and the more we researched into it, the more we found this chromosome disorder was really rare, and apparently, and it's only apparent, there's only one other boy in Japan that has the same chromosome disorder. And one of the things the specialist told us was there wasn't any particular life expectancy. So, you know, every day that we have with her, we just take and try and go forward with it, and we deal with today, but we also look forward to tomorrow as well with her. So, you know, I can't thank everyone enough until I really know a little bit more about this rare chromosome disorder. I mean, anyone with children will realise how precious your children are to you, you know, and your family if you have more than the one. So, having this evening put on, I'm not a great speaker, but I just can't thank everyone enough, and particularly the gaffer, and a special thank you to someone who's done a lot behind the scenes is Nicole Evans. She's been fantastic, and like I say, we keep trying to move forward, because it's not a matter of sitting and trying to find answers from anyone else. We're trying to do what we can ourselves, and to have you all here realising what support you're prepared to give what I call one of your own, it's unbelievable, and I can't thank you enough.
Now tonight, of course, you get the opportunity to speak to the gaffer, to Paul and Trevor if you wish. If you've got a question, put your hand in the air. I just want to start by asking Paul a question, because sometimes when you do these fans forums and you've got an assistant, they don't get any questions whatsoever. So Paul, obviously you've worked with Steve for quite some time now. What is he like to work for, and how do you work together?
We bounce off each other quite well. We argue a lot. I think Trevor's just hinted at it. We're always talking. We're always trying to improve things. We talk an awful lot, but as I say, I don't always agree. I think that's probably a good thing. I'm not a yes man by any means, and as I say, we seem to get there in the end. And as I say, you've seen us, or you've briefly seen us on the side of the pitch. We kick every ball, we head every ball, we try and make every tackle. We're very passionate, and I think we rub off each other that way, and as I say, we seem to get results. But it's not all sweetness and light. As I say, we do argue from time to time, but ultimately the gaffer has that final say. But the nice thing is he values my opinion, which is fantastic, and just that's the way I like it.
Okay, if you've got a question, put your hands in the air. We've got another mic, which Chris has got in his control over there, so don't be shy. If you ask no questions, it's going to be a very short evening. Look at that, hands go flying in the air. It's a fans forum, the idea, there we go. Go on Chris, you got the mic, this one right in front. I want to get your steps up, Chris, get around this room.
Hi Steve, welcome on Posh as well. This season especially we've been over-reliant on Marriott scoring goals and occasionally trying to pick one up from set pieces from the defenders. We seem to have midfield that are scared of shooting, and if they do, they miss it by a country mile. Is that something you're noticing in other clubs, the fact that midfielders seem to struggle to either have the confidence or will to shoot as much as they can do? Because I think we're coming up with games where if they nobble Marriott early on, say Rotherham take him out, so he's out for the rest of the playoff promotion push, we could have issues there. Just your thoughts on, is this something you're working on with them?
Yeah, I think every successful team has got a Jack Marriott, haven't they? They've got a prolific goal scorer and someone who somehow stays fit and gets lots of goals. Talking about Jack first, the biggest compliment I can give Jack Marriott is he's a different type, but he's better than Chris Wood, who's now in the Premier League at Burnley. And we worked with Chris for a year at Leeds. And Marriott's got such an array of finishing. He's got absolutely blistering pace. And you know, I can genuinely say this, he's first in and last away every day. And that's a credit to him. But you do need goals from all departments. You need your central defenders and to get goals from set plays when they come up. You need goal scoring midfield players. I think every successful team we've had, you know, if you look at Rotherham's success in League One, I think Frecklington, who we bought from Dara, probably got 14, 15, 16 goals, somewhere at that range, and probably sit on a plate for the boy Guard, who's now at MK Dons, but I think he got 31, 32 from wide midfield. So it's you do need that, but we've probably, because it's such a passing team at Posh, and perhaps they get round about the box, and there's been an overemphasis to coach to pass it, as opposed to have a shot. And if you don't shoot, you never know if you're going to score a goal. So we've certainly been talking to the lads for that, though. But excuse my French, ladies, but if you'd have been at Oxford, you wouldn't have seen it. You know, it was poor. But we're certainly working on it for sure.
Next hand in the air, there we go. Chris, fourth row from the back, fifth row from the back. I can't see.
Similar one really, and we've got great goal scorer, so much better than last year. We've got good defence, and we've got really good midfielders. Can you give me an insight about how you're going to gel those midfielders together? Because sometimes we get overrun by very poor sides.
I think I'm not here to preach to Posh fans who have watched them all season. But when we came and watched Posh, myself and Paul, which is probably 4 or 5 live games through the season, it was almost a case of you attack, we attack. And if we can score more goals than you, we'll win the game. So there has to be a little bit of a balance in that. But how do you gel it? Well, on the training ground. It's the only way you can gel it and continue to work hard. But there's some fantastic players at this football club. This is a real talented group. You know, we're very fortunate to to inherit from Grant and from the chairman and Barry a group with that ability. But when you got that ability, it takes more than that. It takes game knowledge, game experience, expertise, how to win a game, how to close a game out. And I think it's something like, I'm not stat staff like your chairman, but I think it's something like 23, 24 points from winning positions late in games. And that's a cardinal sin, really. And if you look at just, you do your own research, and people like Swanee will probably text me tomorrow and say I'm wrong, but if you looked at Rotherham's season, I think we gained about 25 from the 85th minute onwards. And that comes from game management know-how and an attitude that says that can we turn the draw into a win, and can we turn a defeat into a draw.
I think you've got the mic at the back, I think.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Do you want me to stand up? Right, it's a football question, both to the management and to the player, Trevor, as well, please. You often hear football managers talking about players picked on their strength of their training. I remember the days where players didn't train all week, turn up on a Saturday and won man of the match. So if you could elaborate on why a player was picked on his training, and from a player's point of view, how frustrating must it be to work your doodahs off all week and then another player that hasn't gets picked ahead of you?
I think there's many factors to why you pick the team on a Saturday. It's opposition, it's training, it's player strengths, it's what you did the week before, and that's where the discussions come in. But if you don't train well, you're not really ready to play on a Saturday. So you have to put a big emphasis on that. We're already thinking ahead. We were already thinking ahead towards Bristol Rovers as soon as that final whistle blew at Oxford. So and that's where training is geared. We've had a very productive game yesterday at Aston Villa, which was some fine performances from a lot of the fringe players that are knocking on the door. So we take emphasis on that. We'll take emphasis on training tomorrow, and we'll pick a team that hopefully will beat Bristol Rovers on Saturday. So you have to put a real big emphasis on training as well. But obviously the previous performance would obviously get into your thinking as well.
Yeah, thinking back, certain individuals were that switched on for particular match days. If they did have a slight niggle, I'm sure the coaching staff, particularly when I played, could always rely on that player to give 100%. And I think there's a mutual respect when you've got senior players that are giving their all, and you know they give their all when it comes to a match day, that maybe a little bit of leniency might take place during the week, during the training session. The game's moved on. I think I'm going to show my age here now. I'm talking about Leeds United. Don Revan used to Friday night, local, and anyone not caught with a brown ale, they weren't getting picked. They weren't in the squad, and they didn't turn out to be a bad squad of players. So I think it's trying to amalgamate the two together. Not saying that players go out 2 nights before a game, but if they're switched on and they can give the management team what they expect from them, and then all the other players coming in, I don't think you can have too many problems.
I think from my point of view, I think it's today's modern day game is a squad game, and I think what you can't do is you can't tell your players when you sign them that the team gets picked for one Saturday based on the previous Saturday, and different opposition present different problems. There's more analysis goes into the game now. So Trevor's right; it's moved forward significantly, but we base it on the factors that Paul has discussed. If you outstanding on one Saturday, then we would still expect a level of performance and training. And I think when you get that integrity throughout your dressing room, then they know when you pick a team, they might not always agree with it, but they know you've done it honestly to win.
Okay, I think you've got the microphone at the back, sir.
Yeah, I've got quite a few. First one's for Trevor. Bit of a moan, Trevor. Tonight's cost me £3. That's more than I ever paid to see you play.
What, did I leave you a comp?
Right, next one's for Paul. I read recently, something I don't agree with, that Posh paid a certain amount of money to Mansfield for Steve's services. The report was 100,000. Nothing about you, Paul. How would you feel about that?
I have had many free transfers in my career, so I really don't mind that at all. But no, I don't think I was never going to stay at Mansfield if Steve was leaving, and obviously it's been well documented, the compensation and this, that, and the other. But if Steve was leaving, then I was leaving as well, and we're a double act, for want of a better terminology. But as I say, I'm just delighted to be here alongside the gaffer.
Double that we could do with them. Yeah. Some of them up front. Right, Steve, this one's for you. Yeah, you obviously bought Paul from Mansfield. I want to know, how hard did you try to bring Carolyn along?
No, I didn't try at all. No, I think Mansfield's is a real special football club. We found they're a special family, the Radford family. I've had a lot of conversations when I've left football clubs. The craziest was Massimo Cellino at Leeds, but the hardest was telling the Radford family that we were going to leave, because they have fully supported us since we went into the football club. But it's fair to say we've left them with a squad that should be in League One next season. We've left them with an infrastructure that was just never in place. We inherited a non-league set-up, and I think when Dave Flitcroft watched his press conference with interest, and he said, "I've inherited a real football club." So we put some procedures and things in place that make it good. But we're not particularly sorry to leave anyone behind, because we wouldn't have left if that was the case.
Yeah, so I've got one more. This one's a bit more serious, probably to Steve and Paul as well. The squad we've got now, and that includes the players who are on loan and whatever. What if this season, which is coming to an end, and also next season, we said, right, that's it, no one in, no one out, for a change? Why not? Because I look at the players and I see the forward line, who's any better? No one. Midfield, yeah, a bit of work, yeah. Certainly the youngsters. I know you've put an arm round what's his name, Lopez. I know you have. You can see it when he's playing. We've got players here that maybe there are bigger and better players out there, but why not just for a change? Then we'll all see. There's nothing against you, Paul, or you, Steve. Why not? Can you bring them on? Can you improve them?
I think we can get the best out of any group of players. I think we went into Mansfield with a side that was 18th, 19th in League Two, and we brought 2 players in on loan, which didn't make that much difference. So you have to work them on the training ground, and that's what we've done. We've had 2 weeks to work with the guys here. The potential of the younger players, the potential of the squad we've already got is there to be seen. But if we can get those little extra margins and get that little bit extra out of them, then we fully believe that we can certainly get into the playoffs, and that's where we should be with the talent that we've got available to us.
I think, adding to Paul, I think there's not going to be a big change in the playing squad anyway. The question will be, if the football club didn't get promoted, can you keep Jack Marriott? I don't know the answer to that. There's only the chairman and the 2 new owners, and Barry can answer that. But I know that he could have gone for over £5 million in January. And how do I know that? Because the manager of that championship club's a good friend of mine, and he asked me to see if Marriott lived right, etc. And not just him. Madison there's more than the guys I've mentioned. I've been unfair to some of them that I'm not mentioning. So the changes will be minimal. There's a number of them capable of stepping up, but there will be a few changes, because we're not here for no reason. We're here because what's not quite there is not quite been good enough. So, but we'll work hard on the training ground to try and make it good enough.
Have you found someone, Chris? Yeah, okay, no problem.
You're all right, gents. My question goes back to Stanford, back in the mid-90s. You're managing, Steve, Trevor, you're playing. As I'm walking past the dugout during the game, Trevor shouts something over. You shout something over to Trevor. He shouts back. Your next words are, "Trevor, you're fined." 1, did you actually fine him once you got back to the changing room? And 2, how likely are you to fine a player while he's still on the pitch now?
Well, I think if I'd have found a wee man, he'd have probably boxed me, wouldn't you? It's actually a myth. I think I've actually only disciplined players maybe 3 or 4 times in my career as a manager. But I think you can affect them in different ways. You know, you can bring them in for additional time, and we certainly found that most clubs we've been at, that probably hurts the player more than fining them. Although there's club fines which are automatic based on dissent and stuff like that, but I'm not one for players being answering back. Just the same if I was in a meeting with the board here, they wouldn't fine me dissent for answering back. You have an opinion, but you know the time to share that is quietly and not off the pitch at you. So if my players are watching this, don't think you can shout it off because I'll drag you off. But yeah, we're not big into fining players.
Can you remember that, Trevor?
Which one?
Hi, we've got 9 games to go. Where should our expectations be? And do you... Personally, I'm patient, and I know it's a difficult... I know you're going to say we're going to try and get up, but obviously it would make sense, in my opinion, to give it another season. But where should our expectations be for these last 9 games?
I think the first thing to recognise is I think the local newspaper ran a little story when I came in, and I got half mocked it when I said if I'd been here from the start of the season we'd be in the playoffs. And the reason I said that is because there was an imbalance of away games versus home games, and that imbalance is still in front of us now. And we've had 2 away and 1 at home, and it's arguably more difficult to put points up on the road. Where is the expectation of the group, the playoffs? Where's the expectation of myself and Paul to get into the playoffs? And I think if we get in the playoffs, if you look who's going to be in there beside us, I respect every one of them, but I don't fear them. I think with the abilities we've got, would the big stage excite our big players? Would it excite them all? Would it excite the city? Would the stadium be packed in the playoff semi-final? I'd like to think it would be. I'm certainly it'll be a difficult summer for me if I don't get the football club into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's ultimately the expectation. I mean, and we're very impatient. The gaffer's the most impatient man I know. He wants things now, and he wants it bang on now, and he wants it. So that's the same thing that I do as well. I think the players do. There's a real hunger from the players. They expect to be in there. They've been on the fringes for a while, in and out, but as I say, with the potential they've got, with the hunger they've got, with us behind them, then we fully expect to be in there, and with you guys behind us and supporting us, and as I say, if we can get a few more in here as well and get in behind us, then there's no reason why we can't be.
Any hands in the air? AD, look.
Hi chaps, hi Trev. The Rotherham side that you brought down 3 years ago now, was it? I would say was one of the best sides I've seen play at this football ground, including most of the Posh sides in the intervening years. The style that they had, if you can call it a style, I thought they were very skillful, but there were some big old boys in there as well. It was almost the perfect match. In a perfect situation, not regarding the players you've got now, but in a perfect situation with the players you want, is that the style you look at, or would you not be tied down to one particular style of play?
That's a good question. I think I think your missus wrote that for you before you left. I think the style goes to the group you've got, and supporters are no different at any club in the country. It's supporters ultimately want to play attractive football, they want to score goals, but they want to win, and it means so much to people's lives if you're winning. If you looked at the way we've always judged our team, we'll judge it again on Saturday, and you might think it's nonsense, but I'll ask Paul Raynor one question. I could write it now for you, and you could read it quietly, and he'll answer it. But when a team sheet comes in, I say one thing to him every week about how many of them would start for us today if we had every one of them. How many would start? And we've got the 2 groups. And nothing normally changes in football. If you're thinking, half of them, then it's game on. If you're thinking, well, probably only 1 or 2 in our opinion, or 2 or 3 would get in, you're thinking if we turn up today and we work so hard, just as hard as the opposition, we should win the game if we carry the same luck as them. And if you compared the Rotherham team when we came down here, we looked at that versus the Posh team, and I'm obviously in the city. I didn't think any Posh players would get in that team at that time. But if I compared it to today, and we still think we're going to a reunion with that Posh team in the summer, and we think, well, how many of this current team would get in it? Half a dozen, 4 or 5, maybe 6. And that would tell you then it would have been game on now with this current team. So it would tell you how much I think Peterborough United's improved in terms of on the pitch. But that's for the current group.
Next hand in the air. At the front, Chris, here. I could give you mine to be fair, but I'll make Chris work.
Hi guys, just a general question. Mainly at Trevor. Trevor, when you started playing for Posh, we had 4 or 5 youth team players that came through the system. Why do you think there's a lack of Peterborough lads coming through now? Is it because most of it's from schools, wasn't it, when you was playing?
I think there's a big all round problem. It goes back to the schools because I'm led to believe a lot of the schools don't have inter-school football matches. So as far as competitions locally, it's non-existent unless they're playing for a Sunday league side, the youth level. It's very hard for a place to get spotted. But also, like we said, the game's moved on. Technologies. You've got world-class players playing Xbox. No one's going outside for a bit of fresh air, kicking a bag of wind and blowing off steam in other ways. They're sat on their backside watching TV, planning. They're all analysts now. So you've got a little bit of a problem, but also I think development. I think maybe a lot of clubs, Peterborough has been ideal for that. Once they do get a group of lads, and it's their time, obviously we've reaped the benefits of it in previous years. From my time, and then you go on, there was a bit of a gap, then you had the Diggers Davis time, phenomenal squad of players coming through. I think it's depending where the club is at the moment, what seems to be the priority, and we can build from there. We're getting back to the basics again, and as you've seen in the first team, there's a couple of quality, talented lads that I know. Maybe that could be the start of it again.
Well, I say, just sorry, Paul. I know you've been here a brief time, but what's your views on it? Are we doing our scouting system wrong? Do we look locally? I don't know.
I've been obviously pleasantly surprised. I took the team to Aston Villa yesterday. Gaffer was here with the majority of the first team squad, and we had a number of young players on the pitch, and I was pleasantly surprised. And some as young as 16, 17, playing against experienced championship players from Aston Villa, and I was pleasantly surprised. I've been extremely impressed with the setup of the youth team. We've already asked about when the fixtures are, and we'll certainly have a good look at it all the way through, right from the bottom. We certainly won't just be focusing on the first team squad. That has to take our priority, obviously, but we also have to see a pathway for the younger players. We know about the Leos and the Jermaine Andersons. They've been coming through, but we need another batch of them coming through. And as I say, the first look I've had at it, we've been really impressed with what's going on there, and along with that, continue.
I think Trevor's touched on it. I think there is a national problem in there about getting kids to get out and play. I think all the dads and all the older dads in the room, like my age, can remember you got home from school, you had a ball under your arm, you went out, you put the jumpers down and you played. And you went in, your mother was caning you because your tea had been on the table and it was now cold, and there wasn't microwaves then. And I think nowadays they go home from school, and there is the problem of safety with kids and everything, but they go home and they get wrapped up and have their dinner and go into the bedroom, and as Trevor says, they play Xbox and they play different things, so the pool of players is now much smaller for everyone than what it was. But there is some exciting youngsters here. There's exciting. I've seen the 15s play already, I've seen the 16s, I've seen the 18s. and there is some exciting youngsters around. So we need to make sure from a first team point of view they just don't get lost in the system.
I'm just a bit concerned that a local under-18 team, Sunday team more or less, beat our under-18 in an FA Cup final sort of thing. I get a bit worried, and that was Jimmy Dean's team.
It should,
under-18s. You know, I get a bit concerned.
That level of result should simply never happen. But we're not here to criticise what's there, we're here to analyse what's here, we're here to have a real look at it. I know, because I had just joined the club and that had just happened, and I know what the views of the chairman was and of what Barry was, and believe me, I've been in only a meeting yesterday with the people at the football club, not about that result, but just about where we're going and how we're going to get there. Thanks, guys.
Yes, go on, hand at the front.
This is to Steve. Since I've been watching the Posh, this season, what's your favourite formation since you've been here, mate? Thank you.
Well, we've only ever had our success playing with two strikers. We've never had success playing with one striker. But you have to evaluate. If you go into a football club at a later stage like we've done, then you have to evaluate whether the striker who's played up on his own for a lot of it can actually play with a partner, because it's a different role. Is in danger of the strikers making the same type of runs, getting each other way, whether the service is the same coming from a 4 supporting you or a 5. So the answer is, Stevie, our plan and the way we've always played, and we beat ourselves up after Oxford on Saturday night, and it doesn't help you when your assistant manager texts you, well, you went with 1 up, we don't play with 1, we play with 2. And he was right to identify it, and we chewed it over on Sunday. So the plan is to play with 2, but you'd never say you go with 3 or 1.
Thank you.
Mike in the back, yeah.
Steve and Paul and Trevor, I am unfortunately old enough to remember the football combination. I don't know if Trevor played in it or he was too young. I think he possibly was. Are we likely to have a reserve side this season? It always seems that we have it for a couple of seasons, then we scrap it. We have got a big squad of players, and as you say, you can't keep them all happy. Would we possibly not have to send so many players out on loan to balance the books? And also, if there is reserve games, are the public allowed to go to them at the training ground? Because me and a lot of old codgers who used to go down there, we felt that we were in the way.
Well, I was brought up playing in the Central League at Nottingham Forest, and that was a fantastic education for me. It's something we haven't discussed yet. That'll be something, obviously, moving towards next season. We did it at Mansfield. We played as strong a reserve team as possible, so they were all ready for first team action as and when they were needed. And so we're certainly advocates of a strong reserve team and playing reserve games, a la why we went to Aston Villa yesterday. It's important that the guys are ready, they're fit, they're getting good game time, and they're proving on the pitch they're ready to play and waiting for an opportunity. So it's something that we would advocate, but obviously we need to have those conversations moving forward.
Yeah, I think my answer to that is I went to watch Northampton and Shrewsbury last night, and I sat with Paul Cook, the Wigan manager for all of it, and he'd just come from the Reserve Cup final in which Mansfield had beaten them 3-0. And Cookie's words to me was, I've never seen such a strong reserve side. I said, well, that's the way it's been every week. So anyone who can go back and look at the Mansfield website, if you don't play in the first team on the Saturday, you play in the reserves. And when I was explaining that to Cookie, he said, well, how do you get them to play in the reserves? Because they don't want to play in the reserves. There lies the difference. I just tell them, you're in the reserves. And we've done that every week, and that's why you often, if you look at the website now, you'll see reserves winning 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. I don't know how other players get game time. We're playing catch up with some players here. If they've not getting minutes on a Saturday, we're playing catch up now. We went to Villa we're arranged another game for Monday. We need to get players minutes on the pitch, because when you give them an opportunity, they're not going to be ready. So you can't beat competitive action, and so that means reserve games. If you're playing in a reserve league and someone turns their under 20s or under 18s out, then you still have to go out and beat them. The 18-year-old's still running as quick as they can, still challenging you as hard as they can, and nothing beats playing games. So, you know, I don't make all the decisions at this football club, but I would think the chairman would support that we're in a reserve competition of some sorts next season. I think we've certainly missed it with how much we seen yesterday about the loads of players. We look at the loads because they wear the heart vests, etc., and it gives you an indication of how hard they're working. And when you're in a reserve game, then they're working over the top, and that's because they've just not had the game time. So we'll try and quickly fix that, but it's difficult to fix it in 6 weeks.
Hands in the air if you've got a question. I guess, yeah, just have a look.
Trevor just said he never played in reserves.
What if you're coming back from one of those 18 broken legs you've had?
Put my fist in it straight in. Straight in the first team. Apart from, I played for Peterborough, so obviously he taught me certain etiquette, and I had to start off in the reserve for a couple of games.
So, you took Mansfield almost there. How tempted were you to stay there and not come here and finish the job off?
Well, I said it was a huge decision to leave. There was some easy decisions in the career. That was the toughest one, to leave it. But I had a long conversation with Paul, that we did many times, and a long conversation with John Radford. You know, and there's one person that makes the decisions at Mansfield Town, is John Radford, and his words to me was, if you're not 1,000,000% focused on us, and you've got thoughts of being somewhere else, then it's possibly not going to work. And I generated that conversation. So, but it was really tough. I so much want them to get promotion. You know, the plan is for us to be in the playoffs and win promotion, then do wise, and then we'll have a nice glass of wine together.
I think there was quite a few hands went up previously. There's one on there, right in the middle. Chris is going to be knackered after this.
The first question, feel free to answer it with one word. A comment that repeatedly pops up on social media is the chairman's influence in the team and him picking the team. And the second question, you've already mentioned Jermaine Anderson. A few seasons ago, Burton Albion away in the FA Cup, he was that good. The sponsors from Burton wanted to name him man of the match. What's missing now to make him back where he was?
I think it would be the quickest resignation the Posh have ever seen if Darren McAntony tells me the team. And I don't think he's ever told anyone the team, but I think you know the chairman. If you don't know him personally, I think most of you will. You know him from social media, and he has an opinion. I don't listen to Tweety Pie anyway. I don't get involved in it. You know, that's, if I read what all the forms of media, I'd put myself in a clinic on Monday. But no, the chairman has an opinion. But you know, John Radford had an opinion. He would tell us that certain players should play and no others. Massimo Cellino certainly had an opinion. In fact, I used to turn my phone off, as Paul would tell you, on a Friday night. As soon as he got 2 bottles of vino in him, he told me he was going to be the next Juve manager or something. But yes, all chairmen have an opinion, ladies and gents. But you have to form your opinion yourself. And I take counsel. I ask people at the stadium. I ask people at the training ground. I ask youth people that watch us. I ask Barry. I ask players. I ask everyone, because they might just say something that you've had in the back of your mind. But as a manager now, I don't believe in that one bit, that the chairman has any influence.
Jermaine, give us a second.
Jermaine is a special talent. If you'd have watched him train last week, you'd have thought you had a Champions League player in your group. But as we found out at Oxford, and we probably found out a little bit more at Villa, that the kid needs some minutes. You know, when you look at his lack of minutes on the pitch, I don't even mean at first team level, just competitive games. That's exactly what I'm saying. If you don't got the competitive minutes, then you're not ready. And I probably went against my tradition of you need to be match fit to go in and play, especially at this stage of the season, because if teams are running hard at the start of the season, they're running harder now because they're fighting for a prize. It could be an individual contract, it could be for a playoffs, it could be to stay up. There's probably 90% of the league's got something to play for.
Hands in the air. Let's go here. I'll go here, Chris.
We've talked about the quality in the side, and I think we can all see that. And some of the benches we put out over the last few games, you look at it and you think, wow, for the first time in a few seasons we've got cover as well. But the thing that worries me, we've got the talent. We've looked at team sheets in the past few games, and you look at it and think, yeah, I can't fault what's out there. But the performances have been, over the space of this season, have been very disappointing. And you look at the players, and that would be my question. We've got the quality, the players have that extra bit of, I don't know what you want to call it, character to get us up.
I think that's where we come in. You see the drive, you see the enthusiasm. All different managers have different styles. You've seen ours. We're up and at them. We're in people's faces. We're very demanding. We're demanding on the training field. The potential's there. The talent's there. As I said earlier, it's just about getting that little bit extra. We've just touched on Jermaine Anderson. He's got all the tools to be a top player, and we'll try and work with him and make him a little bit more consistent, make him a little bit fitter. We want a little bit more drive from the guys out in the field. I think you saw, I'm sure you were all here at the Charlton game. I think you would have seen that we pressed a little bit higher. We worked a lot harder without the ball, and that's a style that we want to play. And it's going to take a little bit of time to hone that and get the boys a little bit fitter to play that way. But as I say, if we can do that, then the potential's there to be successful, and that's what we're looking to do.
I think we've continually we've continually spoken to the group as well since we come in about what does it really feel to win promotion. The people sat here tonight have all been watching Posh win promotion with Darren and some great times and before that. But when you look at the Posh dressing room, some of them won't know what it really means because it's very few who win promotion. And they'll not have that, and I'm not saying about older players, but they're so hard to get in a career. They're so hard to get. Jack Marriott might go off and play in the Championship, who knows, hopefully it's with Peterborough United, but he might never win a promotion. So you have to do everything possible in your whole career to make sure that when a promotion opportunity comes, you grab it. So that's what we've been speaking to the group about. You'll never have the feeling of a promotion. I was addressing the group talking like this, and I went round in the bullish fashion, which I do, saying, many you got son. And then I looked at Stephen Taylor and I said, he says, Championship, 14 points, went to the Premier League. I went, all right, Tails, thank you. But that's invaluable in your dressing room, because Stephen knows the feeling of winning promotion. And I know you guys do, and I certainly know the chairman and the board do, and we do. So it's such a special prize that you need to make sure you give it absolutely everything, leave nothing behind, because you don't always have a season with 9 to go where you're in the real mix. Team 6 points but 7 points behind us, they're not going to be in the mix. They're kidding themselves on. And so you have to be in the real mix, and we're in the real mix.
Next, I think the mic's made it.
Hello, I'd like to speak to you about Lopez, if I could. All the chiefs like yourself, everybody says how good he is, right? And he everywhere, but the fans have not taken to him, and he has sometimes been booed off the field. And now when we discuss it, say going on the bus and coach, people don't understand what Lopez's role is in that team. I wonder if you could explain what you see is the role of Lopez. First off, can I ask you just one more question, please? What is your preferred style of football? Okay, and what formation do you like? And do you think we have the players at Peterborough at this moment for the push for the next 10 games?
Okay, in reverse order, 10 games. Have we got the players?
Yes. Preferred style, 2 strikers. What above that, what's the strategy to win? Because it's about winning. The boy Lopez is a special talent. He can do wonderful things with both feet. He's got fantastic vision. He's got great energy. He's a kid. He's a local lad that feels the weight of the city of Peterborough on his shoulders some days. And you talk about the great clubs. I think Glasgow Celtic's a great club. I think Glasgow Rangers are great clubs. You know, and if you're one of their own and you're having a bad day, they don't boo you off. They might go quiet. They might not give you the standing ovation. They do that when you play well. But you have to. We talked about young talent coming through, and you have to support them. But he's got an array of passing. He's got 2 great feet. He's got great vision. He's got the heart the size of Big Ben, and I think he's a special talent. And he's a kid. He's a kid, and sometimes you need to support kids when they need it, when everybody else thinks that the world's against them, especially him. So I know he's been energised since we came in, and he's loving what we're working with on the training ground. And in fact, I know he's been training with Portugal today, and some of the stuff that I was talking to him about last Friday when we went to Oxford, he was telling me they were doing and talking to him today. So hopefully we're helping him.
Next question.
Evening, Steve. Just wanted to ask you about the new signing Cooper that we got from Crewe. I think we've only seen him play once. He scored a goal and we've not seen him since. Do you know why he's not being picked?
Well, the reason we've not picked him is simple, that he's probably playing catch up in terms of the minutes. You know, Paul took the game against Villa yesterday, and Cooper for 60 minutes was outstanding. But for 30 minutes, you would know he was there because the boy is fallen down a hole. What I would say is he played for Crewe against Mansfield on the opening day of the season, and it was Cooper against Mansfield, and it finished 2-2. He was absolutely magnificent, and we tried to buy him, but it was made clear that Crewe wouldn't sell to a club in that league. And when I seen he came to Posh, not that I speak to him the year regular until I've come in, but you know, I did text Barry saying what a fantastic signing you've made with the boy Cooper. His left foot is a wand. It's an overused expression, but you could literally say put that ball on that toadstool from 70 yards away and he'll do it 8 times out of 10. But he's working, and he's now working in a programme to get himself fit. The games are going to help him. I think he'll play a part before the end. Positive part.
Some hands over here.
Firstly, because I know we miss him a lot, is it likely that Quinn Edwards will be fit in the near future, in other words, this season? And to do with that, he is a box-to-box player, and I think with Posh, we lack a box-to-box player like you had Ben Pringle at Rotherham. Somebody with some grit when the things are going wrong, which obviously at Oxford they were, and then we didn't have that player who could lead the rest of the team forward.
Well, I thought at one stage young Gwyn was coming to Rotherham because we tried to sign him from Crawley, and they ended up in Peterborough. And he's a super player, absolute top player. There's arguments: is he the best? I think whoever you debate it with would have an argument maybe that he is. He'll be back in 2 to 3 weeks. He'll be back before the end.
Any further questions, Your Honours? There we go, Chris, right in the middle.
Evening, gents. I just wanted to ask Steve, as a football fan yourself, what's your opinion on the overall cost of going to watch football? It seems in League One as such seems to be going up and up and up. And for us fans who go week in, week out, it becomes a lot of money. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think you've probably maybe read some of the words that your dad will have done. I've always felt it's expensive for families, you know, not just going home and away, but you know, home, you know, to afford to go to the game, to afford to
to get your programme and have a bite to eat or a beer, whatever it is, it's an expensive commodity. But I think football's gone that way with the money all goes into the top level of the game. But what's happened at the top level of the game is, I dread to think if someone done the numbers and how many homebred players actually play in the Premier League on a Saturday or a Sunday, I think it'd be staggeringly low. And therefore that means that the wealth created at championship level is driving the wages up as English players and British players go down. And it's the same down to Leagues 1 and 2. It's an expensive commodity, but clubs have to do it, or you end up not being able to afford the players. So I can understand the business side, but I've never thought it's not expensive. I've always thought it's expensive.
Peter, I think you've got something you'd like to say?
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of interviewing Trevor up here, and what a great interview it was with him. Now, he's a player I really admired over the years. Over the 89 seasons he played here, he amassed a total of about 234 games. That was with 3 broken legs. Oh, my wife just said 2, sorry. Sorry, he broke his leg 3 times. Yes, thank you, I'll say that right. Sorry about that. And a tremendous achievement. And Trevor, I've been biting at the bit from that interview to tell you we are going to welcome you into the Posh Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Trevor Quow. Thank you. Thank you, Trevor.
So Trevor will be inducted into Hall of Fame obviously on a match day, so we can obviously give him some food and rather than do it on a cheap way and do it on a night like this. So he'll be introduced to the fans obviously on a match day, which we'll set up through Peter. But we thought it was a good opportunity with you being here to do it in front of so many people who saw you play and what a wonderful talent you was. So fantastic news. We've got a few more questions anybody wants to ask? Go down the centre, come behind you.
Hi Steve, well, to the whole table really. You alluded, I think Paul might mention at the start about getting a few more in, making the noise. We're a cracking away support. It probably helps to start drinking about 10 in the morning, but it has been really, really dead last 2 seasons. Anything you've done in the past, engaging with the fans? I know Crystal Palace have got their ultras, Oxford even tried a little bit down the back of their stand on Saturday, but anything we can look forward to coming this way that may be a bit more engagement with the fans and trying to create a better atmosphere?
I think I'm sure some of the guys will have noticed before the Charlton game. It's something we've done at previous clubs. We get the guys together in a huddle after the warm up, and we give the fans a little clap and we acknowledge them. And I tell the guys that we're going to need the guys in the stands today to get behind us, and they're all part of us. And we acknowledge you guys and give you a clap, so you feel part of what we're trying to do. So that's something we've introduced already. We did it at Oxford. Unfortunately, we couldn't reward you with performance, but we'll certainly do it against Bristol Rovers on Saturday, just to let you guys know that you're all part of us and we're all in this together. So that's just a little bit of something that we try to do, just to acknowledge you guys.
Personally, I think it's winning. If you win, they come. That's just a fact. We seen it at Rotherham. We went in there. I know we were moving to a new stadium, but there was 1,700 home fans. You know, we started off with 7,500 in the new stadium, which is it's a special stadium. And within weeks, we were 13,000 sellouts because we started the season so well. In fact, the first game we lost that season was Gart McCann scored a free kick from 30 yards. And I think I said the comment afterwards that Peter was getting home with their ski masks on because they've had a robbery. But it was, it's winning football brings them in. But you're right, we need to look at ideas to get the London Road End and the family standing up buzzing and creating a real feel of, and maybe we need to pick up ideas from other clubs. I went to a club that some people here will never heard of. I went to a game last season, well, just over last season, I was at Leeds, and I went out to watch a player at Angers in France, and I'd never heard of Angers. I didn't know where I was going, and I flew out there to look at him. Flew out with Massimo and Paul on a private plane, and we got there, and that was a club that was 22,000 sellout. It was bouncing. They were mid-table in the League One, the top level in France, but what an atmosphere they generated, and they done it. They got promoted a couple of years before, and they done some deals on the tickets, etc. And it just packed the place out. It was jumping. So, but winning normally for me.
Yeah, hi. I was pretty much going to ask the same question, really. More to do with the fact that Peterborough's such an ambitious club. We always talk about trying to get promoted, blah, blah, blah. But we're only pulling in 5,000, you know, on a good day, 6,000 if we're really lucky. You know, do not find that frustrating? Because I find it frustrating sitting in the home end and think, Jesus, there's nobody here. You know, and when I go to the Checker Trade Trophy and we're playing someone rubbish, like, I don't know, the under-23 squad, and there's like 1,500 of us there, and you think, you know, I mean, I know winning, Steve, you think that's going to pull them back. Do you really think we're going to pull in a big crowd if we make it to the championship? You know, I don't know what the answer is. I'm not saying you do, but do you not find it frustrating? Because I think a lot of people sat here right now in the same boat would just think, wow, people only turn up if we're playing Man U or something. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think the 1,500 you describe are the hardcore, aren't they? They'll be there if you were playing somebody four divisions below. But I think winning does encourage people to come. I think there is alternatives. What you do on your Saturdays and what you do on your Tuesdays now, and I think winning football brings a good feel factor. You know, when this club, I was never party with it, but when this football club was winning promotion from Leagues 2 to 1 and 1 to the Championship, you only had to walk into the city on a match day. You only had to be around it. And you've seen the buzz and the people walk into the stadium from us. Those days will come back if we were just winning football on a regular basis. And it'll be interesting if we can force ourselves into the top 6 or 7 as we go forward with 2 or 3 home games to go. Whether those crowds turn up and get behind us, because in League 2 they did at Rotherham, they got right behind us. They did in League 1, so it'll be interesting if the city wants it as much as with the people inside the football club and what the 5,000 or 6,000 that come most games, as much as they want it.
Steve and Paul, I'd come back to the Leo thing if you don't mind, and I've watched the old boy since he was 13 and a half, playing for the youth games when we could watch them up here, and then later on years up at the training ground and everything like that, and I've been banging on for years to get him in this first team. I thought he was ready 2.5 years ago. However, I've got to say, I would have seen probably 95% of his 100 games. I've probably seen him have 2 very good 90 minutes, a whole 90 minutes. I don't mean the flash here and the flash there, because you can see he's got the talent. When he's on it, he glides like great players do, like Trevor used to, glides over the pitch. I just see a lad sometimes, particularly early against Oxford. Later on he improved a little bit, I thought, but at the beginning he looked like a little boy lost. I felt desperately sorry for him, and I've probably felt sorry for him in about 80% of the games he's played. I'm not asking you to comment on anything that's happened in the past. I think he's been massively overplayed. He didn't look like a man against men. He really looked a boy against men. What I'm getting at overall is, I think even those idiots who cheer when he gets subbed, pathetic human beings, every single one of them, recognise the lad's got potential. What can you and Paul do to get that potential out of him? Because to me, it's inside him, and it doesn't seem to have that sort of kahunas to grab it and make the success that we hope he'll be, because, as you say, he's one of our own.
I think it's difficult to have an 18-year-old to drag a team and make them a top team if they're not quite there. And Leo's best performances, when I've seen him, has come when there's a good team performance, and he's a lot to do with it. But there's a good team performance around him. You know, what does Leo need? Leo needs Jack Marriott making the type of runs that he makes. He needs Baddison getting at people and creating other space. He needs people around him in the middle of the park that will win the battle and give him it. And and he needs people to support him. He needs a management team to support him, and the senior players to support him. And it doesn't mean play if you don't deserve to play. And there'll be probably at his age, there'll be periods in months of the season when he's in a lot, and then he drops out when his standards go down a little bit. But I agree with you. We've seen him on the training ground, and he's a special talent. But he needs better players around him than what they've been displaying, because the players are good enough. It's what they've been displaying.
I just think he probably also needs a little bit more positivity in his play. I think the style's been probably more of a possession-based style, which is, it's served its purpose, and he's put in some good performances. But I think if he's a little bit more positive, has a little bit more drive in his play, a little bit more progressive with his passing, I think we'll see the best of him. And that's what we're trying to encourage with all our midfield players, is to be a little bit more progressive, to be a little bit more positive with their passing. Okay, but they might give it away occasionally, but they're going to try and be progressive and try and score goals. As long as we've got a structure behind that, which makes us a little bit more solid without the ball. But certainly with it, we're going to look to be a little bit more progressive and a bit more dynamic. And I think Lee will get the benefit of that.
I think a clear example, if we're not here to knock anyone, I think people assume we've not knocked anyone, but we have beaten Charlton 4-1 in doing handstands. And he gets the ball and he plays it wide to Lloyd, and then he holds his run and he doesn't bust all the way into the box, and we found that strange. So on the Monday when we're asking him, because that's what he'd been coached to do, whereas our coaching ethos would be from a central midfield point of view, attacking the final third. If you play it wide, then be the other person arriving in the box. So it's little tweaks like that I spoke to him about before he went off to Portugal, and that's what they were saying they needed from their attacking minded midfield players at that level.
Good evening, sorry. When we sit and watch a game, and sometimes they're not good, do you have a need to watch it on a Monday and assess with any of the players to watch it over again?
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate because we can watch things over and over at half time. We can watch things over and over at full time, but it's part of our ethos with the analysis that we look at it on a Saturday evening. We get it sent to us by email, so we're looking at that. Myself and Paul, if we're not together, we're talking, and as soon as the players are in, whether it be Sunday or Monday, then we go through it with them as a group. And it's not about, you have to be careful with young players, because if you put it up in an open forum and be critical, they can buckle a little bit. So some of it's 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, and some of it's in a group place, but we certainly go through it with them.
Last couple of questions. Anybody got a hand in the air question? Right on the other side. Go on, Chris.
Steve, obviously in January you signed Ricky Miller for Mansfield. Will we see him again in a Posh shirt or not?
Well, I think I've already said when I come in to Alan Swan that that'll depend on how Ricky Miller does. He's when we got him, again it's back to the minutes scenario. He'd no minutes on the pitch. We seen Ricky as coming in to back up what we had, but we could get him fit in between times. And it's interesting now that the fitness team at Mansfield, who we still speak to, are now saying that he's just about there with the programme that was laid out for him. He scored in that cup final for the reserves yesterday. He's given himself every chance to play a part. But Ricky said his problems, and they're well documented. But we wanted to sign a goal scorer, and when there's a manager or a director of football or a chairman, you will try and find someone who's got a track record of scoring goals. Well, they're pretty expensive, and Ricky had his problems here, and we were able to get an agreement with Peterborough to bring him in. And so the answer is I don't know whether he'll be back, but if he finishes off with getting 5 or 6 goals and takes Mansfield up, then they need to buy him, or he'll be coming into our plans. That's just where it is. If he don't have a good end to the season at that level, then it would tell me where our ambitions lie, that he might not. So we'll wait and see on that one.
Right, this is a tribute to Trevor. Trevor, you gave us many good games playing for the Posh. Myself and my daughter. Unfortunately, my daughter is no longer with us, as possibly people know here. She passed away 3 years ago, nearly to the day. Trevor, look after her. Going to say, live her days to the full, mate, and all the best, mate, in your project. Thank you.
All right, last two questions then. Hands in the air, who wants to be the last two? There's one there, look.
This is for Steve. At the Posh, we have a couple of good games and then we have a bad game, i.e. like Saturday. I know this might sound silly, but is there any way you can ever see it coming before the match? Right, since we're psychic. Right? Because some of us thought we could see it coming when we saw the team. Right? Because we're the experts, you know, we'll give. But the other thing is, if it happens, like Oxford, and you said there was 6 people didn't turn up properly, is there any way you can analyse to find out why those 6 didn't actually turn up on the day? Or is it just, that's just the way it is?
Well, I'll answer it in reverse. I think I said after the game that I got the team wrong to play against Oxford, and the system and the shape wrong. I actually wore the correct shoes, so I got something right on Saturday. But after 5 minutes, and Paul's to my left, so it's very easy just to agree, but after 4 or 5 minutes on the clock, I said to him, we need to change this. This is just wrong. And but can you see it before the game is your question? Well, often in the warm-up you can see players not be mentally prepared to face what they're going to face. Players, you tell them not to look at league tables, but they do. Are they as mentally prepared these days to play Bristol Rovers as what they were Oxford? They'll be more up for Bristol Rovers. And they shouldn't be, because you know, I know it's difficult to win any game, and 3 points is 3 points. But often Paul comes in from the warm-up and said it wasn't right today, and I've had to get them in and tell them. Often they're not the best performances. Often the best performances when he walks in, I don't want to just look at him and he goes brilliant, and you know that they're mentally attuned to play. It doesn't mean you'll win, but they're mentally ready to go and work hard and play. And with the ability we've got in this dressing room that we've inherited, is if we work hard, and we didn't work hard or smart on Saturday, but if we work hard, then we give ourselves a real chance of winning any game.
Who's going to be the last then?
That shot up inside about 10 seconds.
First time you've said that.
I thought we'd end on a positive. There was some great footage, Steve, and I'm guessing Paul as well, of Jack Marriott doing one-on-one drills with a turn and shoot, and then it was spliced with the footage from the Charlton game where he did exactly that. So if you could talk about how much time you spend one-on-one with players. Also free kicks. I can't remember the last time we scored from a free kick. So is that something you do? And the last thing, Trevor, have you got a favourite moment from your career with Posh?
Well, we'll answer these a bit. We'll leave Trevor to steal the thunder at the end of it. Free kicks, I think it's right in saying we've not scored one for 2 seasons, isn't it? Yeah, Wigan away. And that's probably because they're frightened to tell Marcus to get off them. We won't be frightened. Yeah? Yeah, we won't be scared. What was the other part of the question? Forgive me.
One-on-one training.
Well, we like to do one-on-ones, especially we forward. Paul does the defensive sessions. I tend to work with the strikers and the attacking midfield players. Again, we're not knocking anyone, but I think Jack says he had 2 minutes of finishing and 2 minutes here and there, where we have dedicated sessions. It's nothing about finishing. We'd won. Paul took a team to Villa yesterday and had a dedicated session on finishing with the front players and forward momentum. So, you know, practice makes perfect some days. You know, it doesn't always work, but unless you practice, you sometimes don't get better. And I know it's a bugbear of our chairman when he questions about how people practice key skills they need to improve. And it's probably our biggest asset that we try and identify them, and then we put modules in place, whether it's with us, it could be a fitness issue, it could be a bit more field-based as myself and Paul, and we try and put things in place that can help improve them. So that would be fair, Paul, wouldn't it?
Yeah, to be fair, Junior scored from a free kick yesterday, and he's always out there practicing, and we had to drag him off the training field the other day because he was still practicing. But as I say, practice makes perfect, and he scored a good one yesterday. So let's hope it continues.
Yeah, I think we're going to leave these final words to Trevor, but I think from myself and Paul's point of view, then we're going. I think my wife's here and she's never been at one of these, so I'm getting told off later, but she'll know better than anyone in this room. I give it my life, and I mean the life to the detriment of my daughters. One of them's in the room, to the detriment of my family. Not because I want to, because I drive myself to the mental institution to win. And I've got an assistant manager who does the same. So if we fail you and we fail to take you up, and I'm not saying this season, but if we fail to take you up, then it won't be for the want I've given it everything we've got. And if I fail, I'll still be back supporting the Posh. That's not for a round of applause or anything else. I've supported the club for 25 years, and I've cheered at Wembley, and I've celebrated, and I've cried at Palace on the way home, and trying not to show people in the car. But I said to Paul, this is a football club, and it's a one-club city. And I'll finish on this. I can remember saying to a very wealthy man, the chairman of Rotherham, Tony Stewart, and I said to him, Chairman, if you hadn't bought Rotherham, would you, and you wanted to invest in a Premier League club, or another club, what would you buy? He said, I'd need to buy one club and one city. And that's always stuck with me. And when I get the job at Leeds, he texts me saying, one club, one city. You know he's going to buy it, but Peterborough United is one club, one city. The potential is staggering, but we need to win some football matches and tempt the city to come and support us. So just give us an opportunity. Like I've said this at Mansfield, I've said it at Rotherham, we said it at Leeds, we said it at Crawley, we've said it everywhere we're being given an opportunity, then we'll bring you some fantastic success. And then I'll get the Glasgow Celtic job. And then you'll all cry at me. And my wife has already told me and declared last week that if I go to Celtic, then she needs to fly up once a week and see me, because she's not leaving this city. So just thank you for the opportunity. If you think I'm going to do a good job for you, tell everybody tomorrow at work. If you think I'm going to be nonsense, just say you've not met me yet.
Trying to remember what the last question was. Favourite moments? Well, I'll start with now. You've made me a very humble, proud Peterboroughrian tonight. When I was a youngster, I was just a local lad, big ideas, big dreams, and I was one of the lucky ones. My dream came true, played for my local club, got major support from the supporters. One thing and another, you have downs, but with the support, straight back up and at it. And one of the proudest moments in my footballing career was to actually be captain of the side. That and the birth of my children, and finishing again, the support that have come out tonight, just unbelievable.